What's up, FloFootball fans? I'm Nicole Beckelman, and today I'll be chatting with Coach Huesman, the head coach for University of Richmond. The first thing I wanted to ask is I saw you added some new additions to your coaching staff. How exactly does that work? What's the process of adding these new coaches to your staff?
Well, it happens every year. I mean, I think all the way throughout the country, you kind of anticipate, you don't want to lose anybody, but you anticipate people moving on, getting other jobs for whatever reason. Yeah, we had to replace three guys, and they were all on the offensive side of the ball. So, it was tough to do, but fortunately, we got it done. We actually had to hire two in the middle of spring practice. Not quite in the middle, but we had already had 4 or 5 practices in, and we hired a running backs coach and a tight ends coach, and then fortunately, our offensive line guy got here a week prior to spring practice. So we got through it. It happens every year. You expect it, and we think we got 3 good ones.
Well, what exactly is the process? Do you go to your boss, hey, I've worked with these guys before, I think they'd be a great addition here at Richmond, and then they go through paperwork and you hire them, or do other people find them? What's that like?
Well, the first thing, as soon as I lose a coach, I go to our assistant coaches immediately and ask them, who do they know people. Maybe I will. I'm not as good about that as these guys are, because they do know a lot of people out there in the profession. But so I'll go to them. Normally, my offensive coordinator, I'll go to him and say, hey, listen, give me 3 or 4 names of guys that you like. And then at that point in time, we have to post a job. But at that point in time, then we'll start communicating with them. What kind of interest level? Here's what the job is. Here's what it pays. Here's our expectations. And then we bring them on campus for an interview. And for our offensive line coach, it was such a big position. Obviously, the offensive line is probably the biggest position as far as importance, in my opinion, on the staff. And so we brought 3 guys in. We actually had them sit down and talk with some of our players at that point in time to see what they thought too. And they're all good X's and O's guys, but we wanted to make sure it was the right fit, and so we think we landed 3 good ones.
The next thing I wanted to ask you about is your quarterback, Kyle Wickersham. How would you evaluate his performance last season, and what has he been working on in the offseason to prepare for next year?
Well, yeah, I think you may know, but we had to play 4 quarterbacks. We actually started 4 different guys during the course of the year. Normally, when you do that, you're looking at a 2-9 football season, and fortunately, we kind of piecemealed it together. Kyle went down prior to the Stony Brook game, which I believe was our 4th game of the year, maybe 3rd, 4th game of the year, and then our backup quarterback took a concussion. He was out a couple weeks. We played our 3rd guy to finish up Stony Brook, and we won that game, fortunately. And then the next week, we weren't as efficient at the position. Then we played Cam Coleman, a true freshman, the following week against Maine. He lit it up pretty good, and then he started, I believe, the next 3 or 4 games. He got hurt. Fortunately, Kyle was back and ready to go. We brought him in, and he finished up the year for us. So, we did. We had a lot of success with the quarterback position, and when you have to play 4 and start 4 at some point in time in the season, that's not a big time recipe for success. But those guys came through. So right now in the spring, Kyle and Cam Coleman are fighting. They're both getting 1 reps equally, and we're evaluating them. We'll probably evaluate that position all the way up until August camp for sure, and then make a decision. But they're both quality players. They both had a lot of success for us. I mean, you asked about some of the things that they have to work on. We're working on accuracy, a little bit better accuracy, footwork in the pocket for Kyle, those types of things, and that's what spring's all about, is to try to improve on those things.
Yes, for sure. You mentioned spring. How has spring ball training been, and how does that look different from your fall training sessions?
Well, it looks a lot different. We have some guys out, not many. I mean, this has been a good spring. This is the most players we've had participating in the spring since I've been here. We're at least two deep at every position, sometimes three deep in some spots. But we're really excited about the numbers that we have in the spring now. And normally we don't have that because of injuries, attrition, those types of things. So spring has gone good. We've stayed healthy. We've got practice, another one, and we got to stay healthy, and we got to stay healthy through the spring game. But we're not tackling a lot. We tackled some in a couple practices, but we're trying to come out of this thing as healthy as we possibly can.
Good to hear. Good to know. It's funny that you mentioned last season how you guys went through all these quarterbacks and you didn't think it was going to be a very great year. You guys actually had your longest winning streak since 2015 last season. What do you think contributed to your guys' success?
Our guys hung in there with us. We were 2-3, and coming off a loss to Hampton, and at home, they could have packed it in. They could have said, well, we don't have a chance in anything. And we talked to them. We said, listen, we're in playoff mode right now. We have no margin for error. We got to go out and play next week and win. We got to play the next week after that and win. We're in a playoff mode, and we had to win the rest of the games throughout the regular season to have the opportunity to be in the playoffs. And fortunately, it got us a championship too. So extremely proud of our guys. We had some great senior leaders, Tristan Wheeler, Ryan Cole, and those guys, and they held this team together. And it was pretty remarkable to be 2-3, and the loss that we took to Hampton at home, and to come back and to win and to win like we did was a tribute to the coaches and the players for sure.
The competition in the CAA, it just gets better and better every year. How exciting is it to know that each week your team is going to be challenged in this conference?
Well, it's never easy. You just can't look at the schedule and say, that's one. You probably know that each and every week that it's going to be a challenge, and so we understand that. But again, sometimes you don't know what teams are coming back each year in the league with transfer portal and things like that. But it is a tough league. Every week you play, it's tough. So, and it's fun. I mean, it's fun to do it, and so we're excited for another year next year.
The transfer portal. I know that is, I'm sure, in your office a big topic almost every day. What is your method to navigating the craziness of it all?
We've been pretty fortunate. Not many underclassmen leave the University of Richmond. They know the value of the education here. They can see 40 years down the line here of what a degree from University of Richmond is going to do for them. Where we get some things is with this, all with the COVID stuff and getting the sixth year and those types of things. You get some guys that graduate and want to take their sixth year elsewhere. We had Kobe Turner, who went to Wake Forest. We had Tyreek Funderburk, who went to App State, and they're both kind of NFL type of players. But they gave us 5 years. If you give me 4 years and get your degree here, what you do after that, God bless you, and wish you the best of luck. And but undergraduates, we don't lose many of those guys unless they're just not happy at the University of Richmond. But nobody's going in and after their sophomore year saying, "Coach, I think I want to play somewhere else." It's a pretty good place here at Richmond, and the degree that they can get here is extremely valuable.
Now let's talk about next season a little bit. What goals do you have for your team next season?
Well, we haven't gotten into that much yet. I'll sit down with when we kind of get through spring and start into the summer. I'll sit down with the seniors. I'll sit down with the captains, and All right, what do we want to accomplish? How do we want to go about accomplishing it? But for right now, we got out of the season and just finished up recruiting and got into spring a little earlier than we normally do. We started at the end of February. But when spring's over, the only thing we're worried about right now is to get these guys better in spring practice. We're not worried about next year right now. We're not worried about anything other than developing our players in the spring, getting them better. And then after spring's over, we'll evaluate as coaches where we are. We'll have position meetings with the players. And then as we start to get closer to summer, I'll sit down with the senior leaders and the captains and, all right, what do we got to do to win a championship? What are our goals? What do you guys want our goals to be? And we'll talk about that at that point in time.
Awesome. Those are all the questions I had for you, Coach. But do you want to add anything about your program, season, school?
Well, I mean, I'm awful proud of the University of Richmond. It's got great football tradition, and the players that we get to coach here are just incredible. It is a true student athlete because it's hard to get into school here. It's hard to get out of school here, and these guys work really hard academically, but football is important to them, and they know that they came to school here to win championships and to go to the playoffs and do those types of things. So, we always talk about it's the best of both worlds. You get unbelievable education, and you can play, top-notch Division I football. So, love this place, love our student athletes, our administration, and we're excited for next year. But that's a long way away right now. We got to just take one little step at a time.
We're excited as well. All right. Thanks, Coach, for taking the time to chat with me today. Best of luck
Thanks.
on the rest of the off season, and we look forward to seeing you next season.